Wolfenstein is a hugely underrated franchise that deserves a lot more praise from the gaming community than it generally receives. In spite of the massive influence these games had on the FPS genre, they're generally forgotten by modern gamers in favor of Call of Duty or Battlefield franchises due to the heavy focus on multiplayer. However, the Wolfenstein games have been a mainstay of the gaming world, and while they don't have quite the same popularity nowadays, they should go down in gaming history for having changed one of the most popular gaming genres there has ever been. Hello again, friends, and welcome back to Game Rant. I'm Casey, and these are the 7 best Wolfenstein games. At number 7, we've got Wolfenstein 2009. Wolfenstein 2009 failed at a number of things, partially because it was more obsessed with other franchises such as the recently popularized Call of Duty franchise than it was with the Wolfenstein games. The shifting trends of the gaming industry took control of this game's production process, and as such, it was a bit of a stylistic mess. Nevertheless, it successfully put together a sequel to the hugely successful Return to Castle Wolfenstein and managed to garner some interest for the franchise at a time when that was an incredibly difficult feat to accomplish. Not the most intriguing game to return to now, but a reasonably memorable part of this franchise's history. At number 6, we've got Wolfenstein The Old Blood. The Old Blood is a 2015 prequel to The New Order, which kept much of the same style and flair of the hugely successful switch-up for the franchise. The main problem with The Old Blood is that it forgot about much of the story aspect that set The New Order so far apart from other FPS games. As a result, it's a nice addition to the franchise, but nothing special was created. Even so, Wolfenstein The Old Blood was well worth a look for fans of the series, and it was a great way to fill the wait while the team behind the Wolfenstein games began work on the new Colossus. The Old Blood is a shorter but highly amusing adventure that added to the world of the franchise as it's known today. At number 5, we've got Wolfenstein Enemy Territory. One of the more tumultuous development processes for a Wolfenstein game, Wolfenstein Enemy Territory was supposed to be an online multiplayer game with a single-player campaign included, when severe problems with the single-player aspects led to them releasing the multiplayer mode as a free and open-source game in 2003. Enemy Territory pits 2 teams against each other as the Axis and Allies and had a great modding community due to the open-source nature of the game. Despite being initially conceived as an add-on for Return to Castle Wolfenstein, Enemy Territory has retained an active community of its own over the last 20 years and was made available on Steam in 2022. At number 4, we've got Return to Castle Wolfenstein. Return to Castle Wolfenstein was a game changer after another game changer for the franchise. Wolfenstein 3D had done something massive when it was released, but when Return to Castle Wolfenstein came out in 2001, it was unrivaled in the way it made players feel like a true highly trained operative as they sped through the game. Return to Castle Wolfenstein featured the titular William B.J. Blazkowicz going up against both Nazis and zombies because the Nazis have awakened a great evil in an attempt to enslave the undead creatures. While the single-player campaign is well remembered, it was the multiplayer mode in Return to Castle Wolfenstein that took over as the most popular aspect. The team-based multiplayer was a huge deal at the time and helped many games develop their own versions of similar multiplayer modes. At number 3, we've got Wolfenstein 2 The New Colossus. When the Wolfenstein franchise revamped itself for the modern era of gaming, nobody expected what level of success the old-school franchise would find in a new, much larger world filled with various types of games. But the success of The New Order led to a sequel that focused on Blazkowicz and other survivors helping liberate America from the Nazi regime. While many felt a direct sequel to The New Order was unnecessary, The New Colossus was a huge success because the story, characters, and gameplay were all so well executed. The game was helped by many drawing comparisons to real-world political events taking place in America at the time, which the team satirized in Easter eggs but didn't intend to make into a big deal. At number 2, we've got Wolfenstein 3D. Wolfenstein 3D deserves credit as one of the most influential games of all time. While many consider Doom to be the titular FPS that led to all the others in the genre, it was Wolfenstein 3D that got there first and was credited as having popularized the FPS genre. Swinging the franchise away from the earlier top-down perspective stealth games, Wolfenstein 3D was based on William Blazkowicz as he escapes the castle Wolfenstein and engages in a variety of missions against the Nazis. The gameplay was revolutionary and similar in style to what the early Doom games would later use. And taking our spot at number 1, Wolfenstein The New Order. If Wolfenstein 3D was a complete overhaul of a little-known genre, then Wolfenstein The New Order was a complete overhaul of the franchise. Taking place in a diesel-punk world where the Nazis won the war and are in control of the world, The New Order pits Blazkowicz against a government that controls the entire world. The story and characters were impeccable in The New Order, and the gameplay was at a high level compared to the many other FPS games that were coming out around the time in 2014. This reinvention of the franchise for modern gamers was a genius way to keep Wolfenstein relevant even in a world saturated by gaming. And there you have it, folks, the 7 best Wolfenstein games. We at Game Rant appreciate you guys checking out our content and hope to catch you in the next video. Take care for now.